Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. So this is such an important time of year, only because we make New Year, an important date. It's probably a pretty random date in the calendar. People organize their years into, they're thinking from the year. There's something about the beginning of the year to organize our year, and also the annual plan, your spreadsheets, all of those sorts of things. And so there's something really important about setting ourselves, setting our intention at this time of year. And I'm so excited to do this with you because there are so many elements that we can facilitate, both at the conscious level, but more importantly, at the unconscious level, because it's the unconscious resources that really provide us with creativity and with energy. Conscious goal setting is great, but if the conscious and the unconscious aren't aligned, or mind and body aren't aligned, or mind and feeling aren't aligned, you're not going to make your goals happen. And so for that reason, we're going to do a meditation. So first I'm going to do a bit of a talk, a bit of a description. Then I'm going to take you through a guided meditation. Is there anyone here who doesn't really know what I mean by the phrase guided meditation? I can see that Mary does, or at least she has hypnosis audio in her background. So I'm assuming that she knows what it is. Is there anyone else here who's not familiar with guided meditations? I don't think so. But so we'll do a guided meditation, which is to really invoke our intention, to invoke our unconscious empowering resources, to help us start the process of visioning. So most of the visioning will be done during the guided meditation. The reporting about the visioning, the talking about the revisioning, will take place afterwards in small groups. And so that's how we'll do that. And in thinking about this, actually, there's so much that one could possibly cover. The first part is to get the body-mind connection, to get the state in which we can vision. Then secondly, who do we want to be in 2023? How do we want to carry ourselves? What's our body-mind alignment? In generative coaching, they call this the coach state: centered, open, aware, held. And so what's the state of well-being? What's the resourceful state that you want to have, that you want to practice through 2023, and that you want to begin to stabilize? We're great when we're great, and we're messed up when we're messed up. And of course, it's natural to be messed up, and we can, we need to be compassionate about that. But how can we manage ourselves in a resourceful state more of the time? How can we have that resourceful state more of the time? How can we catch ourselves when we get cranky in our old familiar way? How can we catch ourselves and do something about it? How can we be in a resourceful health state more of the time in our lives? And then when we need to work on difficult feelings, have an appropriate context for dealing with difficult feelings. So that's really will be the first question, which is, who do you want to be, or what do you want to be like in 2023? How do you want to carry yourself in the world in 2023? And then after that, we'll think about what are the inner resources that you have that will support you carrying yourself that way. So who are the mentors that you've had, the people who believe in you, the people who see you, the people who get you, the people who love you, the people who care about you? Who are those people? How can we invite the memory of those people to support you feeling empowered in 2023? And those, of course, can be people that you've known in your life, either currently in your life or in your childhood. They can be people that you know really well, or people who you've only met once or twice. I remember talking to a scientist in a cafe in West Hampstead, and we got chatting, and he was so interested in me. He was such a brilliant guy. He'd written lots of books, and he was a professor and things. But there was something about the way he listened to me and drew me out that today, I still feel that empowerment from that conversation. Or a school teacher. I remember a school teacher who, there was one occasion when I felt they really got me and really supported who I am. So it can be people that you know really well or people that you don't know so well. It can be people that you've never met, but you believe would support you and empower you. For example, Nelson Mandela, for me, is a really significant person for me. I always, when I need to have resilience, I imagine him in court being given a 27-year prison sentence and still keeping his hope. So when I need to hang on to my hope, he's someone I turn to. Or Gandhi or Martin Luther King, that all of those characters are people that I've never met, but really inspire me and draw something out of me. The same is true for someone that many of you may not have heard of. Marion will have heard of him, Gregory Bateson, who was both a scientist. He looked at genetics, he looked at DNA, then he went into the anthropology movement, then he went into psychology. He was the father of all the brief psychology schools. He was the father of systems thinking in psychology. And he was a tall Englishman, slightly badly dressed, baggy clothes, too many things stuffed in his pocket, which is something that old-fashioned Englishmen used to do. Quite sort of lanky, and but very inspirational for me. And so there are all of these people that we can remind ourselves of that inspire us, that who, if we met them, we're sure that they would say, I know you can do it. If I met Nelson Mandela, I'm sure that very quickly we'd get into a deep, connected conversation. He would get me. And so who are the people who do that for you? I have, and in addition to all of the psychological resources that we have, we could have, or that type of psychological resource, we could talk about people in storybooks, Galadriel in Lord of the Rings, or Gandalf, or characters from Disney movies or Marvel movies. Who are the people who you identify with and who inspire you in movies, in books? Who are the characters that you want to be like? Maud Dib in Dune, for example, was something that really impacted me in my childhood. So when if we can imagine them, if we can see it, if we can feel it, then we can receive the blessing of it. Because where is that image? Where is that experience? Where does that person live? They live in your conscious and your unconscious. The people who are not here now, in this room now, they live in your conscious and your unconscious in this moment. That energy, what they have, is available to you. And then, of course, in terms of psychological resources, some people have strong spiritual practices. And I really encourage a strong spiritual practice. And I'll tell you why. Because actually, so we have the ego, we have the self, we have our community, we have nature. So let's talk about nature, being empowered by Mother Earth, being empowered with every breath. I know that the earth wants me to be alive. With every sip of water, I am intimately part of Mother Nature. And I can look at the incredible beauty and diversity of the resources. I'm a part of that. And, that the resource of knowing that there was a big bang, 2 point, whatever it was, billion years ago, and that through all these stages of first physics, then chemistry, then biology, an emergent property of biology, psychology, out of that has become, sentient beings. And we are one of the most advanced, but of course humans, human civilization is problematic, but that's a different question. But, you are the peak of evolution on this planet. And your body includes stardust in it. It includes matter created in the death of stars. So one of the practices, one of the resources is to remember how amazing we are, to remember what we've come from. You know, your ancestors are exploding stars. And so that's a powerful resource. There's something amazing about human consciousness and human being, and actually all life. But we're focusing on us, we're focusing on you. And then, of course, beyond that, I mentioned spiritual before. To have a sense of something that's bigger than yourself. So you've got yourself, then you've got your community of mind, the community of all the people and creatures of the world that are here with us. Then you've got nature, and then you've got the ever-present origin. Once there was non-existence, now there is existence. We are part of that. How on earth did that happen? I can't remember which philosopher it was, but someone wrote, you know, the first question one should ask is, why is there anything? You know, why is this here? I'm not going to give you an answer to that because I believe in people finding their own answers. But the science fiction writer Kurt Vonnegut said, we're all here to help each other get through this, whatever this is. So I love the openness of that, but how we're here to help each other get through this thing called life, whatever it is. And then through that, to have some sense of really strong connection with something that's bigger than ourselves, bigger than our lives. And it could be spiritual or it could be scientific. So, for example, I could go back and say, you know, one of the credible theories about the Big Bang was that it was a big bounce. It was a contracting universe that came to a singularity and bounced back out again. And what was before that? Bounces. You know, for me, when I get into that thinking, I have a deep sense of awe about the sacred. So you could use science. You could use spirituality, and I want to separate spirituality from religion for a moment. So spirituality is your direct experience of something that's greater than yourself. Whereas religion is codification of that, usually by men, in a long system that usually has hierarchies and external rituals that can get disconnected from the inner practice. But the key part is the inner practice. And so the question for everyone will be, during this meditation, is there some connection you have with some archetypal form that's bigger than you, that really empowers you? And I ran a whole course on this. It was called, I'm thinking of running it again, actually, Deepening Your Experience of the Sacred. It's more than we can do in a few minutes. But we can say that there's the outer form, outer ritual, outer books, outer orthodoxy. We can say there's the inner experience, which is what I'm interested in. And then there's actually there's the inner experience where I can relate to prophets, to great figures, to Buddhas, to deities, to archetypal forms, where I'm relating to and receiving blessing from, which is actually, in terms of resources, is the most obvious one. That, is it the Great Mother, or is it a Buddha, or is it Jesus or Mary Magdalene, or one of the Jewish prophets, or one of the multitude of Catholic saints. I know someone who had a very powerful experience of a saint, and has a direct connection with that. So what is it that you're connected to? And how do you draw that out? It's really following your own inner vision, your own path. How can you feel that connection? Because psychological resources are great, but it's really helpful to feel connected to something that's bigger than your own life. That's really, really helpful. And also to feel that you are, what you're doing, if you know your life calling, which is one of the things we do on Life Talent Level 1, if you know your life calling, which is your gift to the world, but it's also what life wants from you. If you know what life wants from you, what the world wants from you, then you can have a sense of how an archetypal form wants you to birth that in the world, that you're supported by more than your own life. So it's really great to have a connection that supports you in more than your own life, that is bigger than your own life, that supports you. And that's tricky. I mean, what I try to do with people is draw out what they already have, rather than, facilitate what's your existing connection. And sometimes people, they had such a bad experience of religion in their childhood that, they don't want to go anywhere near anything like that. I'm a Buddhist, but I once had a vision of Jesus sitting next to me. Well, vision's a bit of a strong word, a sort of imagining. And but he did the thing that boys do to each. He dug me in the ribs with his elbow and he said, "Don't worry, I'm not a Christian." So where are your connections to something sacred? And so then we take all of those resources, we take all of that, we then say, what's my intention for this year? What do I see? What do I really want to see? How do I want to be? How do I want to carry myself? What do I want to be doing? What does that look like? What does that sound like? What does that feel like? And then we sort of spend a lot of time just splashing around in that, like a child in a puddle, or in a beautiful warm ocean or whatever, splashing around in that, in a paddling pool. And then we can, with all of the resources, we begin to think about how do I express myself fully in this year? How can I be more fully in this year? And then we can begin to sort of break that down a bit and say, there are these three key areas. How do I want to develop my relationship with myself? Being at peace with myself, taking care of myself, being resilient, being compassionate, being kind, being patient. With all my nonsense, with all my crankiness, sometimes I'm great and sometimes I'm crap. And can I be kind to myself when I'm crap? Can I be sweet with myself when I'm off balance? Because of course, the fastest way to get on balance again is to be sweet with yourself. So that's, so the first is the relationship with myself. The second is the relationship of love, friendship, community. How can I lean more into that? Do I want to lean more into that this year? I think one of the long, if we talk about individual long COVID, I think one of the social or cultural long COVIDs is that we all got a bit isolated during lockdown. Many people did anyway. And that actually we need to go out and meet new people. We need to go and visit the friends that we haven't visited. We need to have intimate moments with more people. People became resilient in lockdown, but without having as much social contact many people, without having as much social contact as they need. And it's really, there is research that says that talking to shopkeepers or, people in the street, or the woman with the dog in the park, that is really good for well-being. And so that is helpful and useful and great. But even more important for well-being are those moments of deep encounter with another person. And that can be, that can be love relationships, which of course are tricky, but also friendships. I'm a great believer in friendships, because there's a simplicity. There can be a simplicity in friendships where you can really say what's going on for you, right? In your life, this is what's going on for me. Have that intimate, soulful conversation. So soulful conversation might be something that you want more of. Soulful connection might be something that you want more of. And also there may be the need, we all need community. And if our community of birth, or the community, the family that we're in now, or, we may not be in a community that really sees us and gets us. So a really important question in the sort of postmodern world, where we have so many cultures are mixed up and we have so many different experiences, is to say, who are my tribe? Who are the people who see me and get me? If I tell them about my inner life, will they get me? Will they say yes? or will they say you're weird? Because we all need that. And the other thing just to mention is that we need it more than just online. You know, I know some people who through lockdown got really sort of involved in online communities, but we need to then use the resources of the online community, step out locally and, you know, sniff those people. You know, there's it's like at an unconscious level, we pick up stuff with our nostrils, you know, that tells us about relationship and tells us about the person that we're with. So we need that as well, although that it's, you know, I'm in part of some really fantastic online communities. So then we're thinking about those three relationships: the relationship with the self, the relationship with love and community, but the third one is also super important, which is the giving my gift to the world, the relationship with my work. So, you know, how do I express my life call? So there's my life calling, which sort of comes from me, and it meets how life is calling you. So there's my life calling, and there is how life is calling me, and they sort of meet. And how do I give that gift to the world more fully? By the way, that gift combines with your strengths. And so when we take your life calling, your strengths, and your psychological resources and your life experience, you are the only one in the world who can do what you do, who has your gift. You are the only one. Therefore, you're the only person who can be the master of your discipline. You are, you know, you are the head of your field. You know, because you're the only one who can do exactly what you do. And to know that, and then to say, well, who knows how far this will take me, but I'm going to do it to the best of my ability and see what happens. And I may do this through my existing career. Howard Schwartz, the founder of Starbucks, he said his father had taken a job that had worked in a factory and had been really badly treated by the management. And when Howard Schwartz grew up, he said, I want to run a business that is really good to people. And he said, it didn't really matter whether it was coffee or something else. I ran a coffee shop and discovered that if you treated, you know, the barista in a coffee shop, it's not a highly paid job. You know, and it could probably be a bit of a boring job unless you're very people orientated. So he said, how can I hire people-orientated people about interaction with the customer and, you know, give them a good work experience? And out of that, one coffee shop turned into coffee shops all over the world. So you can apply your life calling in almost any job. But so my life calling is helping people blossom. So it wouldn't be that well served if I was working on the checkout at Tesco's, but I'd still be chatting people up and talking to the old ladies and remembering who people were and seeing them and touching them with my heart. But that wouldn't be the best job for me. But for many people, there is an opportunity to find a way of putting their life calling more fully and clearly into their existing career. And then there are other people who need to change career. I mean, it's simple, sort of as simple as that. And of course, changing career is harder than developing your existing career. But, you know, sometimes we need to do that, or we want to do that. We're inspired to do that. So I don't know where you are. And by the way, I'm also talking to people who have retired, because I don't believe in retirement. I believe in refreshment. I'm 67. I'm just getting moving with giving my gift to the world. I'm just beginning to rock. You know, so same with Om's just beginning to rock too. You may, if you're lucky and you've got a big pension, then you don't have to worry too much about the money. But, you know, nowadays, you know, you've got good health. You could live another 30 years after retirement. So how are you going to do that? One of my role models in this is Milton Erickson, who, the great hypnotherapist, who brought hypnotherapy into the 20th century, and he was a doctor as well, was that in the week he died, he had a full caseload of patients. Now, I'd actually rather be windsurfing when I die, or, lying under a tree somewhere, or, who knows, doing something, or rock climbing, or walking. I plan to walk from 300 miles from one end of the Pyrenees to the other, but, to die at the peak of your aliveness. So, when you retire, make sure that you've got a new way of expressing your life calling that really brings you joy. So it's a lot of talk. You don't have to remember a single word that I've said. I've just given a sort of overview of some things that we'll invite the unconscious to do in the meditation. You don't have to remember a word of it. It's just I'm just seeding thoughts in you, just evoking little thoughts. Whatever your little thoughts are, pay attention to them. Yeah. Any questions? Any questions or any worries from what you've heard?
I have a question.
Go on, Chiara.
I have this tendency to want to write things down, and I don't usually write things down when I'm meditating, but since this is a guided meditation, do you think that would be a good thing, or should I hold back?
It's really up to you. I mean, you might have jot some bullets down, you might do that. Okay. It's sort of really up to you. I wouldn't write down every word.
Sure.
But if you had some sort of, this, and this, one of the reasons for going into breakout rooms immediately afterwards is that we'll then get to say, oh, this, and this.
Right.
If I've got enough time, I'll give you 5 minutes to jot notes at the end of the meditation. That might be a good thing to do. Okay. I quite like to get people into breakout rooms quickly because people are quite sort of open and connected at the end of the meditation, and to be open and connected with other people is really a joyful thing. So
no need to stop for the writing. That's okay.
Great. Good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chiara.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions or concerns or worries? Or was there anything I said that didn't connect, or, you didn't get? Hi, Barbara. Nice to see you. I can't quite see you, but it's great that you've got your camera on. I don't think I've met you before, so it's nice to have you here. Hi, Barbara.
Yeah, I was just thinking that on the one hand, it seems like such a natural thing to, live your calling and be yourself, right, alive and fresh right till you die. And on the other hand, it seems to me that it looks like a tall order, It seems to be, something quite.
We have to be, why is it a tall order? I mean, I may take 1 step, or I may take 100 steps, but every day I can improve myself. I can do it 1% more. I don't have to push too hard, because a form of neurosis is I'm not good enough. And then you struggle too hard to be good enough. So that's not what we're looking for either, struggling hard to be good enough. What we need to heal is the feeling of not being good enough. That's a slight danger of personal development. I'm not good enough, therefore I must change myself. Well, maybe the way we need to change is to say, I'm great just the way that I am. And I want more resources, and I want more healing. We don't have to stop growing. But, I don't know how much impact I'll have in my life. But in one sense, that's irrelevant. I can just do, the next thing. Maybe I have a lot of impact. I'm writing a book. Maybe it'll be a bestseller. Maybe it won't. Who knows? All I can do is do the next step. My Buddhist master, he appointed some lamas, some Western lamas. And they went through this big training and these big rituals, and then they had these fancy hats on their head in a big ceremony to ordain them. And then he said to them, you may only have 1 or 2 students in your life. Which is sort of quite reassuring, isn't it? I got a text message from someone today. I've really made a difference to them. There is 1 person in the world I've made a difference to. Okay, that's good. Now let's work on 2. So it's, we're not all going to be Nelson Mandela or, famous Steve Jobs or people like that. We're not, but maybe I'll talk to a kid in a way that turns them from crime to happiness or inspires them to go and do something great in their life. And that will be enough. I've made a little difference. And if I can make a lot of little differences, well, that's great.
Thank you.
Oh, sure. Anything else before we do the meditation? Great. So one of the things that I think is really important about community, and one of the amazing miracles of being online is, can you just look at the screen? Hopefully you can see everyone. If you haven't got gallery view, go and put gallery view on. You should be able to see everybody. For people on Microsoft, I think there's a button called view in your top right, and that will give you gallery view. Apple products and other products, you may have to find it somewhere else. But I like to just look at everybody and feel your presence. That, here isn't it incredible that we can have a sense of community through this strange thing called a laptop or an iPad or a computer, and we can feel each other's presence. It's a sort of miraculous thing. So I like to just take a deep breath, and also the other great thing about Zoom is, we have someone here from India, people from the West Coast of America, lots of different places. Yeah. Right. So, okay, let's do the meditation. And the first step, by the way, some people like to move when they're meditating, and that's great. I tend to do it sitting. So it's whatever your familiar method for getting into a deeply connected body-mind state is great. And I always start just by being present and noticing my body. And I just do a quick little overview as my first step, noticing my body, listening to the sounds around me, feeling my feelings, noticing what I see. If your eyes are open, you'll see the screen and what's behind the screen. If your eyes are closed, you'll see what's in your mind's eye, as well as the darkness of your eyelids, perhaps light on your eyelids. So it's just a process of bringing yourself very present into the present moment. Standing back and watching your inner voice. As we'll discover during the meditation, your inner voice is only one of the things that you hear. It's only one small part of your total being. So there's really nothing much to do except relax. And it's always great in our busy world to have time to relax. And if we try too hard at meditating, that doesn't help. We have to just relax. And some people go so deep that they don't hear the words anymore, but the words go in anyway. And some people keep the words and hear the words, remember them. It doesn't really matter which. Of course, there'll be an audio recording that will be available on Saturday. So if you didn't get the words, you can always listen to it again. The most important thing that we're doing today is helping to find a body-mind connected, open, aware state, which brings out the best of us, from which we could lead our lives. If we practice this state, if we practice this, everything will work better in our lives. The research on well-being shows that if you're in a great body-mind state, if you have that flow state, If you have this flow state, you'll relate better, you'll make decisions better, you'll engage with people better, thus you'll be more successful. So just getting into the flow with yourself. And that means paying attention to your experience right now. And it means paying attention to what feels great right now. And it also means being patient, loving, and caring to anything that doesn't feel great right now. For example, body tension, or a nagging voice, or an emotional feeling that just needs to be held. Just bring blessing, just bring love, just bring attention to your experience in this moment, whether it's pleasant or whether it's unpleasant. Let it be. Just say, yes, this is me right this moment. And in 10 seconds time, I'll be different. In a minute, I'll be even more different. Everything moves. Everything changes. We're just surfing the present moment. So let's do a little ritual that I find helpful, which is to think of, actually, I always say 4 things we hear, but actually then I list 5. So I listen, can I hear anything outside this window? And if there's nothing there, I'm listening anyway. And then are there any sounds in the house that I can hear? And I listen to the house. And then I listen to the room. And in the room, you've probably got my voice through the laptop or the iPad or whatever it is you're using. Maybe there's computer noise. Maybe there are other noises. Listen. And then I listen in my body. Easy to hear my breathing. Sometimes I can hear my heart. Sometimes I can't. I'm someone who hears my heart in my head because of the beat of the veins in my neck. But just if you hear something, your heart, great. If you don't hear your heart, it's probably still beating. You're pretty alive at this moment. And then, is there an inner voice? What's it saying? Be curious about it. Listen to it from a distance, so it's not your voice, it's a voice. Among the rest of your experience. And notice what you see if your eyes are closed. You might see the darkness of your eyelids and colors on your eyelids and images in your mind's eye. And are those images still or are they movies? And not everybody sees things consciously in their mind's eye. And let's pay attention to 4 things that we feel. Notice a place on your skin. In fact, it's interesting to pay attention to several places. For example, skin touched by clothing, skin that is weight-bearing, like your feet, and perhaps skin that is in contact with the air. And notice a muscle, maybe a big muscle or a tiny muscle. I like to pay attention to the muscles in my toes because they're so far from my head. And then notice any emotions you have in the trunk of your body, whether it's your throat or your heart, your chest, your solar plexus, behind your belly button, or your lower belly or your sex. Notice anything that you are experiencing right now. Welcome it, whether it's pleasant or unpleasant. And what are 2 things that you hear right now? And what are 2 things that you see right now? And what are 2 things that you feel right now? And what's 1 thing that you hear? 1 thing that you see? 1 thing that you feel? And then it can be nice to pay attention to a whole cycle of breathing, the detail of a cycle of breathing. How you breathe in, how it goes into your nostrils, down into your lungs, into your belly. Pauses, goes back out again. And just notice how everything changes second by second in your breathing. You experience and notice something different second by second. There's so much happening. And who do you want to be in 2023? What do you want to be like? What do you look like being that person? What do you sound like, or what do you hear, or how does the world sound? And how do you feel? It's like an ideal self-image, an image of how you want to be in your life. You can start by seeing what that looks like, hearing how that sounds, how you speak, and how it feels looking at yourself. Being this person. But when you want to, you can just step into that person and feel what it feels like from the inside, living your life in 2023. And at this moment in the meditation, notice which part of this is easy and which part is difficult. Let the difficult part be here with the easy part. We're just building something. We're just beginning. So just notice how you feel with this vision of how you want to be in 2023. And what support do you need? What inner resources do you need to really live into being this person, to really become this person, to really live this way, to be this way? Perhaps you need to remember people who believe in you. If that's the case, allow someone who believes in you to come to mind. See their face, perhaps hear their words, feel how it feels, receiving their words of support. Or just the look in their eye produces a feeling in your heart. Feel how they feel about you. Or if you need love to support you being your best self in 2023, think of someone who loves you, whether it's a friend or a relative or a child or your pet. And once one of these figures has come to mind to support you, you can allow others to come. You could have a circle of supporters around you, but one is enough. Let's have fun and be creative. Maybe you need a superhero, or Galadriel, or Oprah Winfrey. Michelle Obama. Who brings you the support that you need? Perhaps if you need patience, you have Barack Obama. If you need long-term resilience, Nelson Mandela or some other person. Maybe you need the dogged persistence of Frodo. Who are your heroes and heroines? Who can you say to them, give me this quality, bring me this quality? Give me words of comfort and advice. What are the qualities that you need to be the person you want to be in 2023? Not a fixed person, but a person who's growing, developing, evolving. Maybe you're a bare tree in winter and your next step is just buds. Maybe you're a tree in spring and your next step is flowers and fruit. Maybe you're already at the peak of summer. And what you need is a big letting go back to your bare essence before flourishing again. Maybe it'll take me a long time to become more of who I truly am. And yet there are some steps that I can take in 2023. I can start to grow more fully into myself. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. Don't take the second step or the third step. Take the first step. A step you're frightened to take. Perhaps. So on the journey to being fully expressed, we can be happy with a little progress, step by step. So I'm learning to become more and more of my true essential self in 2023. And there are some things I can attempt to. And I wonder if there are more resources that you need. Are there characters from films or storybooks, from adult books or childhood books? Are there teachers or mentors or coaches or guides who you can invite in your inner world to support you now and during the course of the days and weeks that come? Is it helpful to feel the support of Mother Earth, Father Sky, the sun, the moon, the stars, the buds? A mountain or a tree or a lake or a river, or the wind or the rain? How can nature support you? How can Mother Earth support you? Is there already a thread of connection to support from Mother Earth that you can just grow? Are there archetypal forms? Saints, prophets, spiritual beings, gurus, guides, sons of God, daughters of God, Buddhas, prophets, teachers who you can call on to support you, living your life more fully, having them in your mind's eye, hearing their words, feeling their transmission in your body, supports you. Sometimes I imagine light coming from these beings into me, into my guides. It can be like light into your body, or it can be like a rain of positive energy. Buddhism has it come to your heart, filling your heart. However you want to receive the blessing, you can just receive it that way. So just praying in a way and saying to your archetypal supporters where you have the connection, may I serve you, may I serve the world. May I bring the best of myself to this world. May I be helped in my flow and high performance. And may I be helped when it's difficult for me. And I wonder how this unfolds in your relationship with yourself and life in 2023. How you'll treat yourself and how you'll engage with the mystery of existence, the beauty, the mystery of existence. I wonder how this will unfold in your relationship with love, with partners, with children, with friends, with parents, and most important of all, with the people who really see you and get you and say yes to you. And if that community that says yes to you isn't as strong as it could be, have more of that. Lean more into that. Find more of that in 2023. So I invite you to have more emotional nourishment, encounter, soulful moments of encounter and connection and support, mutual support in 2023. And to lean into that. And I invite you to think about what you're most passionate about in your life. and how that is your gift to the world, or is connected to your gift to the world. Or is it the center of your gift to the world? And how you might give your gift to the world more fully in 2023. Whether it is you haven't fully discovered it yet, whether you're part way into working this out, or whether you're already on track, wherever you are, have a little more, invite a little more, enjoy a little more. Imagine that life and the universe loves you. Otherwise, your body would just fall apart into a sludgy mess. The universe wants you, cares, offers blessings. Imagine if the most powerful thing in helping you have more of what you want and who you are, or more of what life wants for you in 2023. Imagine if that came through grace, through blessing, rather than just through effort. We do need to pay attention and take action. But let's do that in support of the blessings that are coming our way, the natural unfolding blessing of being alive, the support of the universe. Life wants what's truly in your heart. Life wants more of that. Humanity needs more of that. The closer we are to our hearts, the more support life will give us. So now we can just spend a moment just thinking about what are the 2 or 3 things we can do to support this. Trust in God, but tie up your camel. What are the few actions that support the natural unfolding, the process of natural unfolding? A few things that you can do that will move things forward, that will support you in the next steps in your journey. When you're ready, bring all of those thoughts to the present. Just having a sense of how this might unfold during the days, weeks, and months that come. And coming to the present, turning on your videos, cameras, so that I know that you're back. Making notes if you want to, but we're not going to spend long. You might just want to look at everybody and see how touched and soulful people are. Great. And so now we're going to go into groups. And what we're going to do is we're going to, it'll be 20 minutes in total. The group of 4 will get 5 minutes per person. The group of 5 will get 4 minutes per person. I will do the timing for the group of 5. So the groups of 4 someone needs to use their iPhone and time it. One person gets to talk about their vision for 2023 and a little bit about what they'll do to make that happen. And what everybody else does is say, yes, tell me more, just using reflective listening, no advice, no telling them they've got it wrong, no coaching, but listening, supporting, saying yes, paying attention. When another person's speaking, don't think that that's a good time to look at your iPhone and look at your messages. Really pay attention. Really, they will notice your attention. They will notice your nods and your little, you can unmute. So your little yeses or noises or tell me more. So you can say, tell me more. You can reflect back to them what they're saying in their own language, but don't try and change their thinking. You're just to be present to where they are right now. So the group of 4 will do the timing themselves. Someone should use a phone to do the timing because you have 20 minutes. The group of 5, I will do the timing, and I'm just going to check the breakout rooms right now. Let's hear what I'd like to hear. We haven't got much time. What I'd like to hear is what's a little bit of your vision for 2023? Who wants to share a sentence or 2 about your vision for 2023?
I can't wait.
Right, go on, Aris.
So I want to say I learned great to develop my life calling from Julian's life talent program for the past 14 months. I feel so great. I feel my great growth. And the next year, I'm going to practice my life calling to be a positive energy powerhouse and inspire generations. And this is my positive energy powerhouse. And I'm going to focus on my 3 marriages. Marriage with myself. I want to spend more time to develop my own hobby, and the marriage with my family, improve my relationships, become more firm, wise, and brave to show my love to my families, and give it to the world. Continue to do my work, and 3 main things. First is to finish my autobiography, Reformation Girl. Second, continue teaching Chinese language and culture to youth in China, use more about NLP, what I learned. And number 3, coaching. Yeah, so I feel very excited.
Thank you, Aris.
I feel big growth from last year. And thank you very much, Julian. You helped me blossom.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks. Great. Fantastic. Thank you, Aris. Thank you. So who else? What else have you got from your from that meditation? What else have you? Yeah, what touched you? in your vision?
I can go.
Barbara, great.
Yeah, and yeah, it's good to be here. I don't know how we found each other, but anyway, thank you.
Great.
What came up for me in the meditation was not so much about very concrete steps for this year, but reminding myself, about the people who I can relate to and I've, understood something from. So I was off with Joan of Arc, Rasputin, and
You're going to poison some people. Well, he was poisoned, wasn't he?
He had a great sex life, but
But
anyway.
he had a great sex life, didn't he? Great, fantastic.
That's good to know. I didn't actually think that. But yeah, I love how they're very determined and speak the truth, and their conviction. And I would like to not make sure, but I will bring more of that into myself.
Beautiful.
I would say. So yeah, it was very interesting.
Good.
That was just a couple of highlights.
Great. Thank you, Barbara. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
If we had more time, I'd really like to explore about bringing more of Rasputin into
Yeah.
it. But,
Yes, I know it's in the sex bit.
but I'd like to hear from some more people, actually, because we just haven't quite got the time now. So, yeah, great. Who else?
I didn't get to go deep because I was interrupted, but I definitely like the way you connect to not just people of the present, because they're quite disappointing, but of the past and the future. And so I was like, yes, Artemis, the Greek goddess of who was the mother of women, and also Mary Shelley, because I have a book to finish and I have to do it overnight on a dare. So I quite like the fact that you did that. And I like that you connected, which is really good hypnotic stance, emotion with a pet or a human or, different things. Really, really good stuff. I can't wait to actually listen to you in a more relaxed state.
Great.
You're going to be brilliant.
Beautiful. Well, may Mary Shelley and Artemis be with you. Artemis is one, as we hear people sharing, say, wow, I could explore Artemis more. I could explore Rasputin more, people's resources are great. Who else wants to share about something about your vision for what you want in 2023? By the way, Mary's got a vision for a book. She didn't say much about that, but yeah. Well, who else wants to share a couple of words? Great. Fran. Unmute, Fran.
Oh, yeah. Hi.
It only has to be really short because we've got 2 minutes, and I want one of those minutes.
Yeah. Well, I write on the healing promise of God from Revelation 21, and the promise to wipe away every tear, and death and mourning will be no more, and hurt and pain. And so I want to share my poetry with the world on that love of Christ, of the return of Christ, and that peace and healing, and for people to understand that the stress that we live in this world and that the world pushes on us is not love.
And you also need more of that for yourself, don't you, friend?
I need to get through what I'm going through at the moment, but my writing has come out of what I've been through over the last 20 years, really. So I have plenty to share, and I need to be able to be allowed to share it.
Great, wonderful,
and find a voice for that.
Beautiful.
That's my vision, and I did actually have a vision of light, so
Beautiful.
I like to talk about the light within the body as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I need to just give my closing remarks on, so no time to share right now. Just to say,
not sharing.
Sorry?
Not sharing. I just wanted to compliment Iris and you on the work which has gone in the Life Talent program.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I need to take this last minute. Thank you. I just want to say that this next week, if you're interested in the 2023 Life Talent program, I've got a session between 6 p.m. and 6:45 p.m. on the 2023 Life Talent Program. And you'll find that in the newsletter on Saturday. But that part 1 is 9 weeks, part 2 is 28 weeks, lasts the whole year. And it's about making all of, being the person you want to be in 2023. So if you're interested in that, come to the talk next Wednesday. There's a class from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. on, I think it's called Having a Great Life or something like that. Can't quite remember what it's called. And then from 6 p.m. to 6:45 p.m. we've got a Q&A and a presentation on the 2023 Life Talent Program. So let's everybody unmute and say one word quickly about how you're feeling right now. So everybody unmute.
Optimistic.
Say that louder. Say that louder.
Optimistic.
Great.
Yeah, optimistic, hopeful.
Chill.
Rested.
Happy.
On the right.
Determined.
And grateful.
Supported.
Hopeful.
Enthused.
Go again. People spoke over you,
Rested. I feel rested.
And Lee Ways, speak again.
Love.
Love. Great.
Joy.
That's not.
Confident.
Nicola, speak again.
Hopeful.
Hopeful.
Clear. Clear. Confident.
Peaceful.
How beautiful. So lovely to hear your voices. Thanks for coming today. Really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Julian.
Julian. Well done.
Thanks so much.
Thank everyone.
Thank you.
Lovely to have you
everyone.
here.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Happy
Thank
New
you.
Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.